All right, you guys, this is going in the notes and seeing the next part. So after time, working about 2 weeks with time, then you're going to go into measuring mass, volume, and length. And the focus will be on the length part and measurement word problems. That's the two things that you really want to work on together daily. So the smartboard file for the whole week, I have updated. I've used things from last year and got new things for this year. The smartboard file does have a warm up again if you would like to incorporate that in. I know you guys are a little on time, so maybe you don't have that, or you want to pick one thing from it and erase the rest of it. There's also a warm-up of a measurement of the day. So if you haven't done any measurements with number corner, maybe you start doing some measurements during that number corner time and you use that then. Or you could use it during math time or not. But then the main part of the lessons are these third bullets here. So you have length exploration for day 1, length exploration for day 2. And then you go into word problems for 2 or 3 days, okay? So if I'm looking at the measurement smartboard file, here's what it looks like. So as I told you before, there's 2 problems for a warm-up if you want to use those. Then there's a measurement problem of the day, which I incorporated some spinners on here. It's a workplace that I think is for grade 3, but we don't end up using this workplace. So you could just spin the spinner to say, okay, today we're going to measure something's mass, and we need to find something that is around 500 grams. So then you're trying to find things in the room, and maybe it's not just one thing, maybe it's a few things that together are going to be around 500 grams. And so down here, the idea is, what did we spin? So we spun mass. What did you spin? 500 grams, because we're working grams, not milliliters or millimeters. And then we're going to estimate before we actually use our scale and see what it is. We're going to see what we think it's going to be, and then how far we were off, because of course it probably won't be perfect. Okay, so it just gives a little something different for each day, something quick to be finding something. Volume, and now we're going milliliters. So now you should have some different glasses or cups next to your sink, and then, okay, you guys, which one do you think is going to be closest to 500 milliliters? So it's something like that. Okay. And then on day 1, you get into, I just put this picture up because I thought it was nice. From Bridges, here's all these things. What do you notice? What do you wonder? And the whole point is they all deal with measurement. And what do they measure? Like, what's each one called? Because today, and you can find this also in the math room. So here's the new math room, and I circled this part is measurement. And here are some songs and games that we can do with measurement. The thing we're going to do in class today is estimate and measure inches. So those colored tiles are 1 inch by 1 inch, so they could make use of colored tiles to measure their hand, because those are considered 1 inch. And they write down how much they think their estimate is, how much it was in tiles, and then use a ruler and see that it turns out to be the same number. This is something from grade 2 that they did. They might have been able to do, I think they did do last year, measuring things around the room, but it would be good for them to do again. And that's what Bridges suggested this year also. So then come day 2, you have the same thing. You have a warm-up with multiplication and addition if you want it. You have the measurement of the day where we're spinning. And then you go into, all right, now we're going to measure with centimeters. And now we're going to use a ruler to do that. And where on the ruler do we see centimeters? And 1 centimeter is about the length of an ant there. That's a picture of an ant. Or if you go to the math room here, the length of a centimeter right here is about our fingernail. And then there's also a metric system song that you could show there. So that's day 2. just having fun around the room measuring. Then come day 3, same thing, warm up if you want it, and then you have your mass of the day or volume of the day or length of the day. And now we get into word problems. So now this is a new tech enhanced activity from Bridges that's on the mass of birds, of different types of birds. So that's cool if you've been measuring things in the room and weighing them. They'd have a reference to like, oh my gosh, this bird is actually around 500 grams. Wow, and how light that is. So if you go to this file and click here, it's going to bring you to a Google slide. And this is for you as a teacher to go through with the kids, because the next day they'll have one for them to try if you would like. So then I'd go through and say, all right, look at all this data of these birds. What kind of math questions could we ask, right? What do you notice? What do you wonder about these birds? And then we get into a problem. Okay, well, let's try and make a problem together. This is what I do when I make a math problem. I go, all right, I look at these birds. I pick one. An American crow has a mass of grams. What am I going to put in there? What number? A rock pigeon has a mass of grams. And what's happening in this situation? Well, they're sitting on a branch together. So it's you kind of making sense with the class about what this story is and what's happening. And what kind of mathy questions, now if I go to the next slide, what kind of mathy question could we ask about this data, about what's happening? And then once they figure out that question that we could ask, like how much are they together on this branch and hope it doesn't break, we'd make an equation by dragging it over. If you're like, man, I think they should be able to do this by themselves, then feel free to share this one out. But I thought it would be good to talk through one together and a few problems together before they try to attempt one on their own. Because if you go back to the Smartboard slide, this would be one day. Then the next day you have the same warm-up, measurement, and then here is another tech enhanced activity, Google slide deck, that I thought now you can share this one with the kids. So when I click there and I get this copy, for you yourself, you're going to make a copy of the entire presentation, okay? And then you're going to get the share link, and you're going to share this link with the kids in Google Classroom for them to do themselves. And it's very similar to what we just did. If you're like, no, I do not want to go there on Google Classroom, then you can just give out PDFs, worksheets, and these are the same problems, all right? And you can work through some of the problems together like that instead of doing it on a Google slide, okay? So then the final day would be doing, I don't have any warm-ups on this, but it's doing more measurement problems, but now the problems are tougher. They're called in math multi-step. So we have more than one step to figure out in these. So this is where we're going to have to buckle our seatbelts and really gear up and work together on making sense of what's happening and letting all kids see that there could be more than one step to a problem. So even if you think a kid is not going to be able to do this on their own, well, do it together then, and at least let them have that experience of a multi-step problem. So that is the notes for week number 3 on focusing on mass, volume, and length and word problems. Okay, I'll make another video that will then be moving on into the final idea of the unit being fractions. Okay, all right.